Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Oban Bowen, the author of The Philosophy of Success and Your Visionary Entrepreneur. Today I want to take a break a little bit from the brain. We've been focusing a lot on the brain and how we think. Yesterday we talked a little bit about happiness and the 4 different levels. Today we're going to talk about the 4 levels of competence, right? So what I want to share with you is basically when we're all born, everyone is incompetent on some level, but that's not a problem. In fact, everyone is ignorant just on different subjects. Okay, so say for example, someone might be phenomenal at math, but lack a lot of the English skills that helps them to excel the exact same way. Very seldom do you find some of those individuals that are competent on every level, every subject, what they do. Great minds think alike, and some minds like Einstein and Aristotle and many of those were great philosophers, great thinkers, great mathematicians and theorists, but they lack some other skills, mostly social skills. For most geniuses, they get so focused on something that they black out everything else. When you get that focus into anything in life and success, you can have it there. So what we're going to talk about, like I mentioned earlier, is the 4 levels of competences and how these play into who we are and what can help us to be successful or competent in any area that we're not, with a little bit of work, of course, right? So the first level of competence is basically what's called the unconscious incompetence. This is where you don't really know what you didn't know. For example, if you never really thought of, as we're talking and you're looking at this video, if you never thought of piloting a space shuttle, then you were unconsciously incompetent on that. So you had no idea what a space shuttle was or how to even pilot one. But because I brought it into your level of consciousness right now, you will probably move on into the conscious incompetent phase, and you think like, maybe I want to definitely fly a spaceship one day or know how to pilot it and do what it is. But you fall into that level of incompetence. The third is basically your conscious competence. This is now where you already know now what we're talking about, of course, which is piloting that space shuttle. And you say, you know what, I'm going to take the onus of it and start working. You start going to school, you start studying rocket science, and you start studying, piloting and all the stuff that it will take to require, and actually you practice and you go through, and let's say finally you graduate. And then all of a sudden you actually graduate, you go to NASA, you start piloting, you maybe have 1 or 2 space flights, you come back, that's probably about 15 years worth of work there, by the way, and you start doing the things, the space repetitious actions it takes to pilot that spacecraft and take it to space. When you're doing it so much and you don't have to think about what you're doing, that brings you into what's called the unconscious competence. It's you're doing things automatically. This is where habits are formed. So a little bit about each level. So number 1, which is your unconscious competence. This for us is basically where we have our bad habits, our old beliefs and old patterns, right? The things that we learn instinctively. And the fact of the matter is, you can never move forward in life or grow to a next level with instinct. It has to come with a plan. It has to come with a routine. It has to come with hard work. It basically has to come with you doing something that's going to take you above your natural human instinct. So when you move out from your unconscious incompetence, the things you didn't know, into consciously being incompetent, which is now you know the things that you didn't know, but you're going to work on that. This is where most of us either choose to or not to, and naturally we're lazy. There's the feeling of indifferent, but this is where you have creative avoidance, and creative avoidance is where you're like, I don't know if I want to go to school to do the space program because of blank, blank, blankety blank, whatever it is, right? This is where procrastination comes in big time. But in order to go to the next level, you have to step out of your natural human instincts to get into the conscious competence phase. This is where human agony is, because anything you do in the beginning, it's always going to be tough. It's always going to be hard. Anything worth having is worth fighting for or working for. You're also going to have change beyond pretense. So basically, once you do something, it's creating a new habit. And anything you do, if you've been following me, you know that creating a new habit only takes 21 days. So it's about 3 weeks to get to anything, but you have to be consistent and persistent on it long enough to where you get into the unconscious competent phase, to where it's second nature, it forms new habits, and basically you're free flowing. So you're doing it without thinking. For example, let's say when you were younger, between age 3 to 5, 5 or 7, you had no idea what driving a car was or even thought about cars, except for the little ones if you were a boy, vroom, vroom, driving around. But when you got to like age 11, 12 to 15 or so, you start thinking about driving a car. So you move from the unconscious incompetence phase into the conscious incompetence phase. So you went to driver's ed, possibly, start learning to drive, bugging mom and dad, wanted to get into the car. And then you got into the conscious competence phase to where they let you park the car. You start driving to the store with someone with supervision for a year. You get your permit. Then comes a time where we get into the unconscious competence phase. Now, if you've been driving for 5, 10 years, you don't have to think about it anymore. You get in the car, it's like automatically you start driving it. Most women are actually best in this phase because they can multitask using both the left and the right side of the brain. They can be driving a 2,800-pound vehicle with maybe a finger, an elbow, or a knee while putting lipstick on, answering the phone, feeding a baby in the back. This is the unconscious competence phase. You don't have to think about it, you just do it. Or sometimes you drive from work to home and you don't remember how you got there. It's because your mind's been preoccupied with other things because it's so simple for you now. Last example I want to share is this. I've been in network marketing now for a little while, and I was unconsciously incompetent to what network marketing was until I actually found out what it is. Then came the conscious incompetence phase. I had to learn and go through the process. While I was homeless, this is where I was lazy, there was indifference, there was creative avoidance, I procrastinated on stuff until I got it stuck in me, start focusing on my dreams and goals, and really start getting into the the conscious competent phase where human agony normally happens. This is where 95% of the people in anything you do, especially network marketing, will fail because they don't want to stay consistent and persistent and show up long enough to really find what it takes to be successful and get into basically the top 3%. Now that I've been doing it for close to 4 years consistently within this company that I'm working with, the success is there. I don't have to think about it anymore. It's basically second nature. The habits are there and it's free flow. And I don't have to think about going out and talk to people. It just happens naturally. And that's the difference really between those that are successful and those that are not. Here's the major difference between people that are successful and people are not successful when it comes to being competent in anything. Number one, unsuccessful people don't finish what they start, and successful people do. That is the basic difference. They do whatever is required, and those, when it gets hard, they stop. So naturally, you don't grow unless you force yourself. And again, guys, that is the 4 levels of competence and how it can help you have success in any endeavor in life. This is Obon Bowen, author of The Philosophy of Success and Your Visionary Entrepreneur. I look forward to seeing from you and hearing. Comment down below whatever you'd like to see. Take care, God bless, and see you in the next video.